Good mythical morning, everyone.
Jesus
It's me.
Christ.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 15 of Red Connections. I want to start this off by apologizing to all of you for us just not fucking putting out an episode for like a month and a half.
I moved.
I lost my job, and John moved, and I
Yeah.
was doing manual labor for 8 weeks, and now I manage a fucking truck rental store instead of working in my field. So we're broke. So maybe go to Red Connections, patreon.com/Red Connections, where you'll get the 2 bonus episodes that we have right now. I love you all. I hurt my back today, so fair warning to everyone at home, if you hear me at any point go, ow, or fuck, it's because I moved just a little bit, and my lumbar muscles are telling me to kill myself.
Yeah, it's not because the shining power of communization theory hurt Greg's brain or anything.
No, what did hurt me was bending over to pick up a blanket off of my living room floor. So, that's how my day is going.
Speaking of communization theory, should we tell the good people what we read for this episode?
I think we should. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, for today's episode, we read 2 pieces by Phil Neel. One of them is also by Nick Chavez. Theory of the Party and Force and Factory. Force and Factory is the one that's co-written with Nick Chavez. For those that don't know, in my opinion, Phil Neel is the single greatest working Anglophone Marxist at the moment.
He is, I think, he might be... You know, fuck it. Sorry for the tangent immediately, but right before this episode, I was talking to John about how I did want to discuss this in this episode, and we're going to get there, so I'm going to try and keep this brief. A lot of Western, and especially American Marxists, we kind of run into this problem over and over again, where there's not a good analysis of, like, from a Marxist lens, there's not a good analysis of the American state and
the American state, okay.
Like, the American state and, like, what does Marxism mean? I know. Put it fucking down. But there's just like been this kind of failure amongst the left to also, John is holding up hinterland, but for American radicals to even look into the few analyses that we do have and critique them and work through that. You know, I think a lot of people might sit there and go, we need an American Lenin, right? But American Lenin is impossible without like a robust and healthy like Marxist economy of debate. So that theory can be refined.
Lenin came out of when you look at the RSDLP of like the 1890s, the 1900s, and the 1910s, it makes me want to kill myself because of how
maybe
rich
the most,
it was.
Like the most vibrant intellectually Marxist community to have ever lived. And you would not have gotten Lenin without him learning. Like, you see it.
You don't get Lenin without Kautsky.
Front to back. Yeah, if you read Lenin front to back from his first writings to his last, you can see, you know, he's arguing with these other Marxists, trying to make his point proven, but you see him also learn and take ideas from others and synthesize them into what becomes Marxism-Leninism. He's synthesizing ideas. And we struggle with that in America, right? Because, we have hinterland. We have these pieces that we've read today.
Settlers, we have Night Vision.
I don't want to fucking hear about settlers anymore. But you also just like, those are just like somebody writing a book and putting out. It's not the vibrant kind of back and forth you get in the early 1900s and late 1800s, not only amongst like the RSDLP, but like German Marxists, right? And Latin American Marxists in that time period, and American Marxists in that time period. You know, the Communist Party of Eugene Debs was also far more vibrant than the left of today.
Well, I think a very important benchmark for this is, where's the modern day Alexander Bogdanov, right?
Yeah.
We don't have any insane god builders early 20th century left had. Where's the guy who's gonna kill himself with a botched blood transfusion, huh? Actually,
I think
there is a guy, but who's gonna do that, but he's not a communist.
Yeah. There's this piece of it, I was talking to Alex, friend of the show, who you guys have heard before. He's also a highly educated Marxist. And I think between John, Alex, and myself, we have 3, pretty similar, but also very disparate, ways in which we want to do party building, do theory building and do education. But I think, like, I posed this question to Alex yesterday, and he's still waiting on him to give me an answer. But I want to pose this question to you, John. We're not economists, right?
No.
I can't be Marx, right? But, like, Lenin also was not Marx. What he was writing was a sociological theory of change, not necessarily, like, explaining the economics. Marx explained the economics.
He does pretty thoroughly explain the economics of imperialism. Like, he spends, like, 5 chapters before he gets into actual, like, political military expansion.
Yeah.
He spends most of it talking about, like, monopoly capital and stuff.
He's talking about monopoly capital, which is, like, something I think you and I understand, right? I think I can handle, like, writing about that.
Concentration of capital, like, under these huge bureaucratized mega firms.
Yeah. My question more, like, is, that I'm going to pose to you is, and I'm challenging myself on this as well, why don't we write? Why don't we engage? Like, what's to really stop us? Like, I'm not a genius. You're not a genius. Nobody here is a genius. But Lenin also, like, was just a man.
Yeah, the thing is the reason I don't write is because I don't think I have much ideas that are worth sharing. Most of the stuff that I think is worth getting out there is fiction. So...
Well, and that's fair. But I mean, like, when it comes to, like, us being communists, so we are communists. We are communists who may be members of socialist parties. But, like, I think about this a lot, and I've been thinking about it more lately, is, like, I would rather, like, argue, debate, and build an analysis with others, right? I don't think I'm the American Lenin. I don't think and if you think you're the American Lenin and you're at home right now, you're not. You're a narcissist.
And also, Lenin wasn't the only guy who made the Russian Revolution. Like,
exactly.
He was just the figurehead, more or less. And,
yeah, I mean, you don't get Lenin again. Like, you don't get Lenin without Kautsky.
That's Renegade Kautsky, not pre-Renegade Kautsky. I need to read pre-Renegade Kautsky.
You also don't get the Russian Revolution, like, quite honestly, without the anarchists, without and then there's other people who people don't think about this as much. Like, I think people see Stalin as this military leader who did, like, military shit, and that's kind of like he
a civilian Bonaparte. I think is kind of like what the popular imagining of him is. Which,
but, like, Stalin also has a lot of Marxist writings. Like, he's not a fool either, and his writings are interesting, and we should read some.
Read Stalin at some point, just so I know exactly how to rip them apart.
Yeah, Stalin, again, and that's the thing. This is the thing that Marxism should be, is like a healthy, robust, a constantly iterative process. To take something out of, like, the work I do in a professional world is you should always be iterating on what you're doing so that it's more efficient and serves the most people effectively.
Marxism is a science.
Marxism is a science. It's also a philosophy, right?
Well, it is a particular faction and school of social sciences, I think, is probably the best way to talk about it.
Well, I think economic theory, I mean, there's
economic
a lot to
theory
it.
is just social science and mathematic drag.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, I think that we should, like, I'm going to try and do this. I do mean that, because, like, I work this, my job is fucking easy right now. I don't make, like, a ton of money, at all. But, like, I come home, I'm not tired. I sit in a fucking chair all day and I write fucking trucks. I'm going to try and start engaging in that, and I want to say it now, like, I'm not afraid to be wrong. I would much rather be proven wrong, and maybe I can contribute something, right? Because I spend a lot of my time going, where's my fucking Revolutionary Party, dog? Look at what's happening all fucking around us. Where's my fucking Revolutionary Party? And that's not fair. Nobody's looking at this on video, but I pointed at the camera. But, that's not fair, because where's my Revolutionary Party? It's inside all of us, and it's all of our jobs to contribute in some way. Whether that's, quite honestly, through a form of entertainment, like we're giving you, reading, learning, and then contributing. Because, like all things, Marxism is not an absolute, I guess, is maybe this is the wrong way to go about this, but the reason why no two socialist nations are the same is because real life has influences on how you implement Marxism. And without your voice included in the dialogue, right? How can we implement in Marxism in whatever remains of, but like just to keep it simple, in the United States? How do you
in North
implement a
America.
Marxist? Yeah, in North America, how do you
I think
implement
that's the best
a Marxist economy?
neutral way to talk about it.
Yeah, how do you implement a Marxist economy if you don't get the personal like theories of North American Marxists? I think a part of the appeal of, and I hate to bring this back to the fore here, but like part of the appeal of things as they pop up and then disappear again, of like the ACP, is like there's something distinctly American about it, even though they are not well thought out or well trained Marxists. But there is something distinctly American about it. And for that small aspect, like, that is important, right? Because you look at a party like the PSL, that is the largest cadre-based organization in this country right now. You know, the DSA is not a cadre-based organization. So PSL, largest cadre-based organization, except they lack a thorough analysis that, like, matches the United States. Now, they have some great writings, and they have some great authors who've done some great stuff. But because of the way that party functions, right, those things don't disseminate the way we might want. And they're not interested, right? The PSL is not very interested in having a debate and working through ideology and growing ideology.
They're a
by
very
dialoguing with people in the
orthodox
DSA.
party.
They're quite an orthodox party, and they treat themselves like they treat themselves the way the way the Bolsheviks did after the war, when they were it. They were the party. They don't need to have external
they're acting
dialogue.
like they are a temporarily embarrassed ruling party.
Exactly that. And so it's our job to try and engage those people. Like, those are, like, for all my hate that I may feel about, like, the way they operate, there are a lot of highly, highly intelligent Marxists in the PSL. Right? Just like there's a ton of highly intelligent Marxists in DSA. And there's a ton of highly intelligent Marxists in, like, honestly, in the fucking Green Party, in the fucking Working Families Party, and then just scattered about across this country. People can be reached. You know, we can do anything truly we put our minds to. Like, I worked this shit job, as everybody at home knows, you know, I was working in finance, I got laid off. I was working construction with my father, and even talking to my own dad, who, like, has had his own personal political journey of, like, being a Bush voting Republican to, like, this man is ready to kill Republicans, like, on sight. This man has a plan, which I love and respect him so much. And honestly, I've never been prouder of my own father. And that when we got, because we were working in Myrtle Beach doing kitchens and stuff there, he has a plan for if ICE shows up to get all the guys. Because usually when we're working, they're siding the house, or they're roofing the house, or they're putting windows and doors in. We have a plan. We had a plan for how to get as many of those guys into our cars and into the cabinets as we can. Like, this is a man, like, he does deeply care. And, like, quite honestly, I'm more like them than I am like a white-collar guy. Like, those people, first off, you go onto that job site, we all Catholic. We all Catholic. For those of you who know my last name, I might as well be one of them, right? I'm just a pale one. Like, we're all the same. We're all the same. The fucking michelada lady comes around in her truck. First off, it's very awesome that there's a lady coming around selling micheladas, right? She's selling us fucking beer.
Is that even legal?
I don't fucking know. I don't care. I love her.
Yeah, it's rules,
I would die for her. And she's selling micheladas in gigantic styrofoam cups for like $2. But, like, I'm over there in the line, too. I'm using my broken-ass Spanish. Like, michelada, por favor. I'm pointing at the tahini. I'm just like, extra. Put more in there. But, you know, I think a lot of Americans can be reached in a Marxist way, right? And there is a quote out of Theory of Party that I do want to read. It really struck me. It really spoke to me because I feel like it really does... It explains a lot of how I feel, I think, and kind of makes it concise. So this might just be kind of cut off. So, John, if you when I read it, if you want to add context, feel free. But it starts with... Without such enforcement, non-communist, radical, or leftist ideas that hew more closely to the common sense of popular ideology will quickly wash out any communist content, though it will be important to remain in conversation with these vaguely socialist, abolitionist, or activist currents, since their own contradictions tend to lead a minority of more intelligent participants towards communism. It is even more important to remain distinct from them, refusing to liquidate the communist project into this lukewarm radical liberalism. This then enables us to establish the foundation for our own experimentation, allowing communist partisans to attempt different forms of intervention and engagement, and then collate the results in a clear-headed fashion. And I think, for me, this speaks to me because this is, in my opinion, the great failing of the PSL and the DSA, the two largest socialist parties or organizations in this country, in that they allow themselves to be swept into these populist currents, where the more communist and socialist hardline aspects of this are diluted and eventually destroyed as the great social mass of the common man kind of moves from one thing to another, like a herd of buffalo, right? And we follow. We are followers. You know, the DSA follows, the PSL follows where the action is, and they don't maintain a line. Right.
They're tailless.
They're tailists. Look, we have a nation. Our left in America are all tailists right now, and that is like a very hard thing to break, especially because, you know, for what it's worth, the PSL and the DSA are mature in age. You know, the DSA has been around since the 70s. And the PSL
in modern DSA is very different from whatever that Harrington Night reading club was.
The Harrington Night reading club was strange, but that like strain of do nothing still exists. And then the PSL for what it is, right? You know, they broke off from what did they break off from? WWP? World Workers' Party? Is that who they broke off from?
Wait, they're extra
or the Socialist? That's what I think. I think they are the split because they were the non-Trots. They formed the Marxist-Leninist Party.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I think it was WWP, but like in one form or another, the PSL has also been around for like 50 years. They've been around for quite some time, and because they are a more centralized party. I will say like they have a much better like repository of knowledge than DSA, but like that tailism still exists, right? Because all of the activists, the active members of this, I mean, they're fucking gone. They went to jail. Right? They got bought out, or they bought into the system themselves. You know, I hate to bring this up, but I did watch it in the theater the other week. Is One Battle After Another, and it's a very, very good film. And you know, obviously, it's a Hollywood movie, so I think they miss a lot more of the Marxist aspects of it. And they don't really touch deeply on the theory.
It's not about the revolution; it's about the revolutionaries.
Exactly.
I think
it's about the revolutionaries and what a failed revolutionary party turns into. I mean, I will say, I thought it was very well done. I really did. Did you watch it? I saw it
the second week it was in theaters.
We were the only people in the theater because it was the last week it was there. But it was nice to watch it like that because you can really like just kind of laugh and look at things.
Funny movie.
It was quite funny, and really they got to give Sean Penn a fucking Oscar. He's so goddamn like unintentionally funny in that movie.
I am not a homosexual, if that's what you're implying.
I'm not a homosexual, if that's what you're saying. Why is your shirt?
I'm not
It's
gay.
It's good. It's like, he is unintentionally quite funny. And he's also, look, I will say, it's like a very well done movie, and like, he really is what a white supremacist in this country is. He's a very good interpretation of that.
It captures the kind of menace, the equal parts of menace and patheticness that is inherent to at least latter-day American fascism.
And there is something... He's not a sympathetic character.
No.
Start there. But there's something deeply human about him as well.
No, he's
plays the
very
part
Nixonian.
Very well.
That kind of that striving, that like desperate need for approval from the other Christmas adventurers.
Yeah, like he's quite an interesting character to me because like there is like a part of him that's deeply human but has no idea how to be a person, right? Like he's somebody who's conditioned to be. He's honestly a good representation of like what the military does to you. Like he is someone who like
gives you a weird ass walk.
Yeah, deep down for I'm not going to spoil the movie. I think everybody should watch it. I think it's good. But like for somebody who does like the horrible things he does, especially like even towards the beginning of the film, like in a very creepy way, he was actually in love with her.
Oh yeah,
he was, and like
I love him.
You could see he played the part so fucking well. You can see the conflict in him.
Yeah,
you can see the actual conflict of like, do I choose this thing that I want, or do I choose this thing that will give me status?
And the thing that kind of makes him evil is that he chooses status.
Yeah, he chooses status, and in the end, it ends him.
It kills him.
It kills him. I don't know. And then Leonardo DiCaprio is just... fucking hate this. He's such a good actor.
He's
so
such a good actor. I was kind of surprised.
He played the part so goddamn well.
I was very tempted to do that as like a last-minute Halloween costume. Like,
that would have been a good one.
Yeah, but I didn't know where to get those sunglasses and that kind of...
it's very funny because for those of us who are, you know, like you and I, and like if you've ever been involved in like a revolutionary party in any way, like that guy, he's a third of the guys you meet. Like they're just like burned the fuck out. They used to do something cool.
Burnt out weed dads.
Yeah, burnt out weed dads. Real vapors. Like he really just killed it. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a very good film. Man, we are. This is a really good episode so far. Like we are fucking on topic.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk more about of theory of the party?
Also, like, kind of building another bit from this is how Neel talks about competitive control. Right? People don't follow programs; they follow parties that are competent and have the spirit and are willing to win and are able to mobilize on these. Neel lately, especially between this and he has another piece that I haven't read because it's fucking huge, called Quarter Pounds of Flesh, which is fundamentally about subsistence, right? Like fundamental social reproduction, right? Fundamentally, one of Neel's primary theses in this is that fundamentally the ebb and flow of uprisings and revolts and whatsoever that have been happening since over the last 15 years, since Occupy, say, have been fundamentally started by subsistence struggles like proletarians and reserve army of labor people who are put into a situation where they need to act, otherwise they're not going to be able to eat, they're going to get shot by police, things like that. Very base level.
Fundamentally subsistence-based survival. Like it is.
And this is not just communist revolts and uprisings either. Hong Kong, Iran, these are both objectively right-wing. Oh, okay, Iran was weird center liberalism.
They're
not right.
Uprisings. They're populist uprisings.
Populist uprisings, this very specific case, the Gilets jaunes in France, right? That was very specifically about gas prices at first, and then it exploded. Like, fundamentally, these are like the ebb and flow that communists need to be able to step into and push beyond their material limits. This is like his general model of revolution. You can maybe apply this to 1917, like the February and October revolutions.
It also, and I mean, he talks a little bit further about it. You know, with like Marx refers to this as the Party of Anarchy. It is the. I really like his theory of change here. With the single unified party exists forever, right?
The invariant party.
The invariant party, right? Like these uprisings are part of the party. They are at their core. These are subsistence struggles that socialists aim to not have anymore. We want to solve those struggles. The fundamental issue we really see right now in this country is our parties act as tails to these things, and so pulling people into the struggle, into the party itself, into the formal party, is quite difficult because they move from one subsistence. Yeah, they move from one subsistence struggle to another, right? Just like he makes the point, you know, people fight for a higher minimum wage, right? If they win a concession, then that party of anarchy, right, it subsides back down into a more quieted discontent until the next subsistence struggle forces a rise. But if the formal party itself is always following up the back of those waves, it is impossible to build a party. It's impossible to really break through, right? To call it, you know, let's call it the glass ceiling, right? The glass ceiling of revolution. If you can't break through and crest that wave over the top before the Party of Anarchy wins some minor concession that calms them back down, then you're not really building a socialist project.
Yeah, there's fundamentally this like dialectic between the historical invariant party and the Party of Anarchy. They're both tied into each other. They're both codependent, but there needs to be a balance there, and ideally we tip the balance towards the historical party, right? This is let's go over the terminology that Neel talks about here. So there is the invariant part of the idea is that there's the invariant historical party, which is fundamentally just the communist movement as it has existed since 1848. Is everything from Marx to Lenin to Stalin to Mao to Tito to Neel himself to Jan Appel to
the two of us to you at home.
Exactly.
That's what the party is.
That is the party. It is fundamentally everybody who wants communism. And it is the social force behind pushing towards a communist post-capitalism, right? Because we're going to get into this once we get into Force and Factory, but I think you can talk about multiple distinct post-capitalisms. The one that we want is a communist post-capitalism, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's the historical party. It is invariant. It is simultaneously invariant, but evolving, constantly evolving, right?
Exactly.
Combination continuity. It's a dialectic, right? Like
it is. Everything's dialectical. That's when there's two things, everyone.
Exactly. We might at some point need to do an actual explainer of what dialectics means, but basically
I'm going to actually need you to help me explain it, because I don't think I can really properly explain it.
These are the core points of dialectics. Things are complicated. Things interact with other things. Those interactions change both parties of those interactions, and the complication of things manifests as interactions within itself and sub-things.
The dialectic is when there's two things, folks.
Or three, or four.
I do this bit quite often with people where they're like, I want to do this, but I also want to do this. I'm like, that's dialectics.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
But yeah,
it makes me really annoying.
It makes everybody really annoying, but it's very funny every time.
It's fundamentally the combination of internal and external interactions, and those interactions changing both parties.
Yeah, Hegel's so goddamn confusing, man.
What?
Hegel's confusing.
Hegel's confusing, but I think you can boil it down to that.
Yeah, he's also he was also a fucking psychopath, but
dude. Anyways, back to Neel. And then there's the formal party, which is these linkage, like things like the first phases of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, right? The RSDLP, the All Union Communist Party, stuff like the Spartacus and the KAPD.
The Spartacists are actually a really good example, I think.
Yeah, fundamentally, you have these. The formal party is the actual, formal, like organizational, like structure in like
CPUSA was
early days
like
CPUSA,
a formal party.
The IWW.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened to them.
They got taken over by Kaiserreich fans.
I know. Well, you know what? It's better than what they were before that, right?
That is true.
Bunch of fucking trots.
But the idea is that these are fundamentally ephemeral structures, right? They are temporary. Yeah. They are very specific to their time and place, and it's this is also where vanguard parties exist. Neel is somewhat skeptical about this. Like, I'm going to read from the text now.
Please read the quote.
No single formal party can ever be said to operate as the vanguard of the class as a whole. Nonetheless, just as cresting waves represent a deeper fluid motion beneath, the historical party will always generate its own advanced detachments. Any formal party, therefore, has the potential to serve as one of many vanguards of the historical party. These vanguards often operate along different dimensions. Some formal parties express a more advanced and comprehensive theoretical understanding, while others express more refined tactical knowledge, or simply allow their spirit to shine brightly in battle, each brave act igniting a new signal fire to draw the class into its fated combat. You can also see the Occupy, I think, is an example of an extremely early failure of an ephemeral party, right?
Yeah,
like the park occupations. Chaz.
God help us. Yeah, that actually was an ephemeral vanguard.
Yeah.
It was.
It lasted for maybe, 12 hours in terms of its potentiality as a vanguard.
Yeah, I did go there.
What?
So in 2020, when this was all going on, I was
doing Seattle?
My parents were supposed to send me to Europe for my graduation present, but it was 2020. So instead, my dad just handed me a bunch of cash and was like, "Go road trip the country." He's like, "You should see it. Who knows when you're going to get a chance to see all of it." And so I was driving around while this was happening. So every day I would be putting on the news or the newest Chapo, right? And I'm sorry about that outside. And I would be like, oh my god, it's happening, like, right? Because you're driving around the country, and I was seeing it everywhere, right? I remember so distinctly. I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, not a place where you think there'd be revolutionary potential, and they had the National Guard, a whole fucking convoy of armed troops headed downtown because Sioux Falls, well, they were rioting. They were rioting. I would see it everywhere I went. And I had one of my buddies with me, and we would talk about it all the time. Like, man, this might be something. This could be it, right? Because for a moment there, for a brief moment, it felt like it was going to change.
It genuinely felt like 1905.
It did. Honestly, I think when we look back on this in 100 years, that was our 1905 moment.
I mean, the main difference between 2020 and 1905 is that 1905 actually won some minor concessions from the Tsar. They were rolled back almost immediately, but that's what happened to
That's what happened to 2020. Is we won some minor concessions and they were immediately rolled back by the next election. By 2022, they were gone. But anyway, so I went to Chaz. That was the thing. It's like we were driving to Seattle, and I was like, we got to go to the fucking Chaz, right? Because they're crazy there. I was there like a week before they shot that guy. And it was very funny to me because, like, I'm a Southerner, right? I grew up around farms and shit. I've seen people do that. I've never been a farmer, but, like, I'm not a moron. They were trying to grow potatoes, like, in 2 inches of dirt, like, in the street. And I remember, like, walking up to one of them, and I was like, hey, man. I was like, I really appreciate what you're doing right now, but, like, nothing's going to grow right here. I went, you need to there's a park. There's that baseball diamond there. I was like, go down there and fucking plant them there. They were like, that's where people had their tents. I was like, they need to move their fucking tents if you want to grow food in here and be self-sufficient. And also, potatoes? You think you're gonna be here for 9 months? Like, but I wound up walking down the street. There was like it's not an Ingles. So what's your shitty ass grocery store up there? I think a yellow sign.
We got Safeway. We got Albertsons. We got.
It was definitely a Safeway. Winco? I walked into a Safeway. No, it wasn't a Winco. I love Winco. But I walked into like a Safeway. And I wound up spent like $50 in there. I bought them like 100 hot dogs and buns and like packs of water because they were like asking for food. And so like I was like, all right, I go buy a bunch of hot dogs. Shit, brought them to some tent where they were distributing food. But yeah, I went to the Chaz. It was cool. It was like a cool. Like, there was a moment where I was like, damn, I'm here for something important. Like,
you're in
something
the commune.
Historical is happening. I was for like 4 hours. I was like, I'm in the fucking commune. Like I'm here. I made it.
Man, and then it all went to shit so quickly.
They killed that fucking guy.
God. But yeah, I mean, like, the Paris Commune, it could be argued, was the first example of
Chaz
this...
number 1. They were about as effective as the Chaz.
They were. God.
They were pretty fucking bad at, like...
Why aren't you marching on Versailles? Why aren't you seizing the banks?
Can you imagine being Marx, like, while this is... Like, I know he was fucking crashing out.
Dude,
because you hear him write about it, like he was crashing out.
They were like, "This is a legitimate revolution," or like something like that.
It's a legal revolution.
Yeah, this is a legal revolution.
It's our legal revolution.
Brother, you know what the bourgeois? Do you know what Adolf Thiers is going to be doing to you in a month?
The original fucking fucking Revolutionary Party, man. They were so fucking bad at it.
Well, the thing is that I think they were like genuine, like, socialist, anarchist, communists,
were like
whatever.
Bonapartists. They were useless.
I wouldn't even call them Bonaparte.
How do we feel about what if Napoleon was a socialist?
Well, Napoleon III was a Saint-Simonian.
That is true.
Dude, the Saint-Simonians are so fucking funny. They're like original, like, developmentalist socialists. Like, we're going to build a utopia on Earth by the encouragement of industry for the greater good of all, and
they were
just going
like,
to happen
to
be vital to the development of the most evil economic system in human history.
Yeah, it did win them the Franco-Prussian War, though.
No, it did not.
Or the other one. What was the one where they won?
No, the Franco-Prussian War was the one that they lost. World War I was the one that they won.
No, wasn't 1871? Didn't they win?
The French? No.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
There were two. Weren't there two?
No, there was just the one.
One where they beat the Prussians and one where the Prussians won?
Nope.
I'm thinking of literally Napoleon's conquest of fucking Germany.
You are.
Which, by the way, again, I say this every time we talk about Germany, folks, but, like, any nation that's ever actually made it to Berlin, it has completely and utterly failed, because that place needed to be burned to the ground 400 years ago.
Okay, in fairness, 400 years ago, In 400 years ago, Berlin was a series of shacks on stilts in a sandy swamp.
Brandenburg, then. They should have salted the fucking earth of the Prussians.
Königsberg.
They should have made them like Carthage.
Königsberg to the ground. The Poles should have burnt Königsberg to the ground.
When they had the fucking chance. This is all actually the Polacks' fault for refusing to fucking tamp down on their vassals, alright? When the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was the world's first democracy, alright? They fucked that up so bad.
It was just that the aristocracy... It was a dictatorship of the aristocrats. It was the most advanced
dictatorship. That's what we
dictatorship.
have right now.
Okay, but we can vote, is the thing. You and I can vote.
Oh my god. Chuck Schumer is like one of our schlachtas.
Only the nobles were enfranchised.
Yeah, but Chuck Schumer is like a member of the schlachta.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway, we're getting too far off topic, but I would like to do 10 hours on the PLC. But anyway, this you know what this article, there's something about it that I maybe I'm going to challenge myself to do. It's very hard to read if you're not already a Marxist.
Yeah.
He's a very dense writer.
Yeah, he also, I got to say, beautiful prose. Like, he is a genuine,
extremely beautiful prose.
Incredibly skilled writer, like, even from, like, a non-academic Marxist perspective. I tried starting to read, he has this, like, 800-page tome called Hell World, The Planetary Factory and the Human Species. Kind of, like, expanding on his whole concept of, like, the planetary factory. And I read the introduction. I was like, okay, I'm going to read until I can get this in a physical copy so I can mark it up. But, oh my god, this is beautifully written. Like, anyways. But yeah, and then, like, yeah, so you have the invariant historical party, you have the ephemeral formal parties, and then you have the kind of eternal communist party, which is, like, the synthesis of the two.
There's also a very interesting section of this that I don't know how well it ties into this right here, but his whole like section on sigils, on the symbols of not only like the formal party, but like the ephemeral party and the party of anarchy, like the things that just pop up and become symbols. And like
oftentimes in like the party of order too. The party of order is something he talks about more in Hinterland, but it's like the combination of like the ultras on the part of the bourgeois state, like your white supremacists, your Nazis, your law enforcement, like the groups like the Klan, right? But like, I think like a perfect example of like a modern day sigil is like the inverted red triangle, right? Or the Palestinian flag, or the keffiyeh. Yeah,
they're easily replicable. They mean something to everyone. You're easily recognized as part of it. Yeah, and then he talks in the article,
rock somebody's politics, at least within a certain axis, based upon that sigil. Like you see somebody with an inverted red triangle. Okay, this person is on the right side of the Gaza war.
And he talks in the article itself. You know, like the Yellow Vest protests. Big in France, right? Like those are struggles from the 2010s. But like and this is the thing I think that our formal parties, right? And I'm gonna just stick to DSA and PSL because I think the others are too small and too like non-ideologically rigid to work. But like the PSL,
or like the leftovers of formal parties, because I think Neel's definition of the party is when it is very specifically active in the struggle, and then it goes into hibernation, which is like the modern day DSA and PSL.
Yeah, and like I want you all to imagine in your mind, if you're familiar with the PSL, what's their symbol? What's their sigil? Right? They don't have a very good recognizable one. I mean, they have their own logo.
For a while, it was Leonard Peltier.
Thing. Yeah, it was. But, like, and then, like, think of the DSA, right? I think the DSA has a better grasp on this, right? They have the rows.
Hands in the rows.
Yeah, the hands around the rows, like, that's the DSA. And lately, they've been working with their little guy, the little Mugsy guy. You seen that?
No.
He's like a teacup with a gun. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen
that. He's got a gun. The Libertarian Socialist Caucus uses a gun.
That rocks. I mean, also, Mug has a really good sigil in just that sky blue.
Yeah, like, and that's the
blue
thing.
and white.
I think the DSA. Here's my thing, and I constantly am like, whoa, back and forth on this because, like, to speak very plainly to everyone at home, right? Like, my situation, my own life, right, feels hopeless, right? You know, you keep getting laid off, you lose money. It's horrible, and it's insane when you look at the numbers, and, like, even I realize, like, right now I'm making $20 an hour, which is still more money than half of the workforce of North Carolina, right? Half of the workforce of North Carolina, which is about another 3 million people, make less money than me, and they're alive, right? And it's one of those things where you're like, damn, my situation is hopeless. I don't have any time to really think, to do things. I just have to work and sleep. Those people are doing worse. And you look at, like, where's my Revolutionary Party, dog, right? Like, they're busy doing other things. And I made this point last night. I was talking to Alex. The DSA and the PSL, they are, and I want your take on this, they feel to me like they're bourgeois socialist parties. Like, they're not built of working class people, they're built of the professionalized class, and so it's almost impossible for them to reach the real working class. Because, like, look at me right now. Like, my situation has changed. I am now deep within, like, the working poor, the working class of this country. I don't have fucking time, energy, or money to, like, go to a DSA event where, like, we're not doing anything that's actually helping me, right? Like, I need to do things that will help me and my immediate community now.
Yeah,
because that's what we need. And, like, our parties don't do that because they are in hibernation and they are tailists.
I think, to a certain extent, having parties of the intelligentsia, like the PSL and the DSA, is important because you need people to be thinking about this stuff, and you need for lack of a better term, I don't like the kind of concomitant implications of this, you need something akin to a general staff for the revolution, mm-hmm. right? And you're not going to be getting that from people who, until this latest subsistence struggle, have not had the time to really read or think about this stuff. No shade on them.
It's like, you know, these are people who, obviously, amongst the working class, like, who are invaluable and absolutely a part of our revolutionary struggle, but it's impossible to ask them to put in more than they're already giving just to stay alive in their subsistence struggle, right? That is why we do need, and I mean, this, for me, like, this is why, like, I agree with, like, a vanguard model, because you need people who have the means to be the vanguard. My issue mainly is that, like, I don't see my vanguards for the parties that they are. I don't see my vanguards trying to make conditions easier for me so that I can join them. Right?
They are not joining the battlefield for contested control. They're not, in which I'm going to be honest, at least going by some of what DSA Seattle's been doing, the DSA is doing. They're feeding the homeless. They're doing soup kitchen stuff.
DSA Seattle's pretty good. Like, they're doing a pretty good job.
I need to get more involved with them. But also, I kind of want to push back a bit at your categorization of the DSA as a single party. I think fundamentally what the DSA is an incubating chamber and the terrain for discussion within some of the most advanced elements of the American socialist movement, which also includes communists.
I treat them kind of like a 1907 to 1910 RSDLP. There are a bunch of parties in coalition.
Yeah, and I think, fundamentally, it is the terrain upon which, I think if we are going to get American communism, I think it is going to come out of a party which comes out of the DSA.
I agree. And I mean, I think
I don't think it's going to be entirely. It's going to be weird. It's going to be messy. There's going to be
it's going to take a long time for that struggle. Yeah, but like, I mean, you look at, like, I don't agree with all of Mugg's platform. Let me just start there. But, like, Mugg is a very, very good example of, like, an advanced element. They are the advanced element spoken about in these articles, right? They are a vanguard. They have an ideological program. They adhere to it, and they draw people in, right? Red Star in the DSA is an advanced element. They have a program. They adhere to it. They recruit. Socialist Majority Caucus is not an advanced element, in my opinion.
I think, Socialist Majority Caucus is, if you can talk about the DSA as a party, what you're really talking about is SMC.
They are the DSA's party.
They are the DSA's party, and the DSA is them. Like, they are the institutional party of the DSA.
Yes. And that is through, quite honestly, I'm relatively involved in, like, the internal politics of DSA. I'm pretty well versed. That is through a lot of, like, coercion force and the fact that they do control, like, the largest chapter and the most effective chapter right now.
Oh my god, this
in terms of electoral
whole shit
success.
with NYC DSA and the dues.
See, that's the thing that drives me crazy. And in my opinion, right, and I also am aware that this might be a bit reductive, but, like, I would take the chapter's charter. If I were National DSA, I would either take that charter, or I would say you are breaking DSA national bylaws and, like, forcibly take the chapter over and have DSA staff
you are touching
on that chapter.
the money.
Yeah, I would have DSA staff running that chapter. But this is the other problem with New York City DSA. DSA is headquartered in New York. And honestly, and if we were a serious fucking revolutionary organization, headquarters should be in fucking DC, man. That's the capital. That's where you should be running off.
Or Chicago. If you're going to do a bit of LARP, headquarters should be in Chicago.
It should be the Midwest, right? Midwest city. Honestly, a really good city for it. Fucking Sioux City, man. Go to a city with a low federal presence, right? Where surveillance is lower, but the infrastructure is there. The infrastructure exists. Like, Iowa, centralized. You have the corridors everywhere.
I mean, honestly, if you want centralization... If you want centralization, you can't do much better than Chicago, just because that is the hub of the rail network.
It's the hub of it's the hub of the fucking country's infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's not centered on DC. It's not centered on New York. It's centered on Chicago. Honestly, is MUG headquartered in Philly?
I don't know. Philly would be a good alternative too, because I just think Philly is funny. I think this is entirely a joke. City. This is entirely vibe space. This is not serious analysis. I think Philly is, for better or for worse, the most proletarian city in America. Maybe Philly and Baltimore.
No, Baltimore is the most lumpen city in America.
It's not
about Flacco. Now, some of you will get that. But you know what? And then, like, the other caucuses are also kind of geographically, it makes sense. Like, Red Star is pretty centered in the South. And it's because they face... Like, here's my thing. I think this is a relatively well-proven theory, right? The places with the most repression have the most radical versions of leftist organizing, right? Red Star is pretty effective in the Deep South. Red State Democrats are basically
Maoists.
Yeah, it's why, like, you look at a place, like, look at Red Star, like, most of their leadership's from Louisiana, right? Like, they are, like, Deep South. They are the goddamn swamp communists for real. And I mean, again, Red Star, advanced element, right? There's not that many caucuses that are super large or effective. I will say the Libertarian Socialist Caucus, while I disagree with Libertarian Socialism, they are a quite effective caucus. They get a lot done. They're mainly centered around St. Louis. Like, they do a lot of good shit there. They do a lot of great stuff.
Another good potential headquarters.
Yeah, and I think, like, there are other things that, like, we don't think about, I guess, as a party. And I know it's because the DSA is not quite as centralized as it should be. And now with these caucuses, it feels a lot more like multiple trains on the same track. They're all doing stuff, and there are some overarching national goals. But now, these are multiple parties operating at Big Ten. It is the RSDLP. It is. SMC are fucking Mensheviks. They are. They are our social democrats.
Well,
they are more liberal.
At least the Mensheviks wanted to overthrow the empire. I'd say they're worse than the Mensheviks. Well, they're going to do it
through voting.
Like,
they're going to be our vote red no matter who soon. But I think, we don't engage, as leftists, we don't always engage in popular struggles, right? Because we're tailists, right? We either, by the time we're built up enough, our momentum is built up, we're, like, fighting for something that everybody's moved on from. But we also don't do things as, like, cities, right? DSA chapters are centered around cities. And, like, my only piece of advice, if you're in St. Louis DSA, here's something I think that might not be a horrible thing to fight for in order to gain popular support. Because we as socialists believe in most of the same things that, like, the average American does, which is, like, I want to have fun, I want to be comfortable, and I want to be able to do things I want. And do you know what St. Louis has had robbed of them? All of their sports teams. If you're in St. Louis DSA, you know what you could fucking fight for and gain a shit ton of popular support and probably elect a fucking mayor off of? Trying to force the NFL to give you a fucking NFL team back.
You could run up Baathist numbers by promising some kind of regulation on the mobility of these sports teams.
Yeah, you know what? If you're Cleveland DSA, you should be, and this I'm saying this personally as a fucking fan, you should be fighting every goddamn day to make sure that the Browns do not leave fucking downtown. They're going to build them a fucking suburb stadium, and that's it. You're going to kill downtown Cleveland, which, for better or worse, in the last 15 years, downtown Cleveland has become a nice place. Just like Detroit,
also,
the last
if
15
you're
years
in
has become a
Cleveland,
nice place.
if you're in Cleveland, DSA, you should be fighting tooth and nail to arrest Deshaun Watson, too.
We need to kill him.
I was going to say that, but I wanted to moderate my language a bit there.
Don't worry, I got it. Oh my god, dude, fucking, oh my god, my back.
Are you okay?
Like, I pulled it real fucking bad. I pulled my lumbar muscles real bad.
Dude, you're gonna call out sick from work, right?
Wait, you can't. How it feels when no, I can't. I can call out.
Aren't you the manager? Aren't you the guy who gets call?
There's another manager.
Oh, okay.
And she's working them out. Like, we work together most of the time, just so we all hit amount of hours. But I work 6 days a week, so if I call out tomorrow, I still get 40.
Nice.
My life is bad. But anyway,
but I will say one of the I don't like phrasing this as a benefit, but something to look forwards to, I guess, is this: Trump molesting the money means that there's going to be a much faster pace of these subsistence struggles going forwards.
Exactly, and you know what? And these are things that the Democrats won't roll back. They just leave things the way they are. You know, and then, you know, here's the other thing. You know, I see something. Here's a critique I have of Charlotte DSA for today. Charlotte recently voted for a transit bill. It passed. It was an increase in, I think, sales tax or something. Not by much, to fund, like, transit expansion. And Charlotte DSA came out against it, right? And there's good reasons to come out against those things. However, you need to just kind of support transit bills. You need to just kind of do it. Like, it might suck, and you might not like that, oh, well, they're only building new bike lanes in wealthy parts of town. Well, fight to get the fucking bike lanes.
Or just grit your teeth. Or also, sit back and observe. Not everything requires a position or a reaction.
You don't need to fucking react to everything, right? And at the same time, you watch, you know, a personal thing I struggle with some Marxist friends of mine is Palestine. And I'm going to try and touch this so fucking gently, okay? I need you to stop me if you feel like I'm not making my point the way I want to make it. Palestine is the most important international issue of our time. Maybe of the next 20 years as well. It is the most important internationalist issue of our time.
It has determined the course of the 21st century, and not in a good way.
No. However, sometimes American leftist organizations and parties forget that we have domestic struggles as well, and the average working class person, for all of the horribleness they must feel knowing, right? Especially if they're, you know, aware, knowing what we've done as a country, how we've aided and abetted this genocide. They have domestic struggles that are affecting them now. And it's very delicate. It's very hard. It's hard for me to try and articulate this without coming off like I don't care, because I care.
We need to strike a balance between the two.
But if we focus on Palestine all the time, the working class is not going to support us because they're worried about groceries. Groceries are more important because groceries are right here, right now, right?
Yeah. And it goes back to that contested control thing, right? It's like, if you're focusing on Palestine and not engaging on these subsistence issues, you should engage on both to be absolutely clear.
Yeah,
both
you should be engaging on both. But if you're only choosing one, and you're not choosing the one that is affecting the working class now today, right here, you can't build a base.
And
you
also
need people to struggle.
Yeah. It's also, again, it's like, people don't follow a program that they agree with. They follow the people that are able to demonstrate strength, competence, and spirit.
And honestly, I would add a point to that they follow the people in the party that gives them something that makes their life better.
Exactly, yeah.
If the Republican Party came out today and passed a bill, because they can pass any bill they want, that every American was going to get a check for $500 a month, they would do Assad margins in 2026. Because people just need something.
If Trump does do the $2,000 stimmy check this month, that's it.
Not for nothing, I'm going to take the fucking money. I need the fucking money.
Yeah,
I need the fucking money. I need the fucking money so bad.
It's like, oh shit, that's a month of rent I don't need to worry about.
It's a month of rent. I can pay $2,000 off my credit cards. I can clear my credit card debt. I can put $2,000 towards my vehicle loan. I can do it. I can make a down payment to get my fucking fiance a car, right? Like, there's like we need the money.
Did you guys
right?
actually get married? Like
yeah,
you had.
But now we're calling each other fiance because my parents. That is my wife though.
Okay.
But I like calling her my fiance. It was nice. But anyway. But, like, this is the kind of fucking thing that we're dealing with now, right? Like, people need the goddamn money. The economy is in the fucking gutter. People are not doing well. Like, what do you make an hour? $20-something?
28.
$28 an hour? That's actually pretty
But
good.
it comes closer to, like, 24 after taxes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine, right? After taxes, you're making $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Before taxes, I make $42,000. After tax, I'm making 35. But granted, now I'm in a place where I get all the money back. But like, we're in the fucking gutter, man. We're in the fucking mud. People are in the fucking mud.
Here's the thing: we're in the gutter. In terms of America, we're actually doing really well. In terms of the world, we are fucking living it up. Because
the thing. I mean, American levels of comfort are so much different.
Well, yeah, it's like the whole fucking structure of like labor arbitrage, right? It's like. I've been thinking about how like people generally think about super profits as an artificial inflation of American wages. That's not really correct. What super profits are is the artificial deflation of wages in the global South, which then subsidize the buying power of our wages, which is like technically inflation of our wages, but it's more complicated than just straight
also,
up you get money.
It's part of the social contract of anti-communism in America.
Yeah.
The United States is the most effective anti-communist project to have ever existed. It is. We exist in a state where if Lenin was alive today, and Lenin had the entire Bolshevik Party of 1916, 1917, they would be crushed immediately, right? Because in comparison to Tsarist Russia, right? Like, Tsarist Russia was a weak, syphilitic police state. The United States, at the time, comparatively, it's impossible. Like, we have to build a level of power that no revolutionary party previously has ever built in order to even have a chance of success. Not to mention, because we are the core of the global economy, right? We're kind of also relying on the global South to rise up at the same time.
I think part of it is also that if we do successfully rise up, this is the one place where a single country revolution could actually strike a death blow to capitalism. Because can you imagine what the world markets would do? What would happen to global capital circulation? Imagine what happens if the revolutionary government defaults on all U.S. debt.
And this is the thing. This is why this project.
I'm getting hard just thinking about it, dude.
But think about it. This is why the American Anti-Communist Project is so successful, because it's not just the U.S. government fighting it, right? It's the entire world fighting a proletarian revolution, and that includes the People's Republic of China. There's a reason that the PRC does not support communist organizations in the United States. Because they are also so deeply intertwined with the capital market.
Well, also the PRC is at this point, I think, fully a bourgeois dictatorship.
It's a dictatorship. I would say a dictatorship.
I'm going to fight with Alex if I ever meet him in person about that. I just know that.
No, I think he kind of agrees that it's kind of like a dictatorship of not necessarily bourgeois.
A technocratic dictatorship,
like proletarianized industrialists.
It's like this weird technocratic dictatorship ruling for the bourgeoisie.
Yeah, China's a very interesting thing.
It is super interesting. It's not my political project, but it is very interesting.
It's not my political project. However, I will also say, as a political project, it is successful. It has uplifted the Chinese people out of poverty.
Okay, this has nothing to do with Chinese socialism with Chinese characteristics, Stalinism, whatever you want to call it. But this is entirely a legacy of the Mao era. But China's population is going to have by 2100, just because of how fucked their demographics are. The whole super pronatalist push in the early Mao years, followed by the one-child policy, has completely fucked their demographics.
It fucked up their demographic tree is so fucking strange. But, like,
Yeah.
I think, like, a good example here of, like, the success of socialism with Chinese characteristics, right? Like, even beyond Mao, into Deng, into everybody, is look at their direct neighbor to the south with a also very large population and a history of colonialism and a history of, like, early industrialism. India, which is a failure, except for in one state, Kerala, which is run by fucking Maoists.
I don't think it's fair to call the Indian state a failure, but it is not nearly as accomplished as the Chinese state.
80% of Indians still live in poverty.
Yeah, and in India Indian agriculture is still essentially semi-feudal.
In
large swaths of the country,
non-mechanized feudalism still. In a lot of cases, right? Like, and that is a failure of post-war neoliberalism in that country.
And the Green Counter-Revolution.
Yeah, I mean, you look at
INC botching land reform.
Yeah, I mean, and even states that, you know, have ups and downs. Like, Africa's a great example of, like, you see a state, like, lurch itself into cult of personality Marxism is what I'll call it. I don't really know how else to call it. But, like, Leninism with socialist characteristics. And then you see these states, like, they undertake these massive projects that you don't think, that, you know, from the outside you wouldn't think are capable, right? You look at Burkina Faso in the 80s, right? A country that had been dirt poor forever and had been colonized and had nothing really to show for itself, built a rail network across the whole country in the 80s and it inoculated everyone for, like, smallpox, like, which is the first time they had done that ever. And they taught everybody how to read. That was a country that went from, like, a 40% literacy rate to a 90% literacy rate in 10 years. And then when the French stepped in and killed them because Thomas Sankara decided to touch the fucking money, when Thomas Sankara decided to touch the money, the French killed him. That's a state that's fallen right back to where it was before. With failing infrastructure, a failing central government, half of it, the country's run by fucking Boko Haram.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, every time you see an announcement from Traore, it's like, oh, which town did fucking ISIS take? JNSF, I think, is the military group that's rolling across the Sahara right now.
And, like, that story, Burkina Faso's story, like, and Thomas Sankara, like, on a personal level, that is to me, he is one of my Marxist-Leninist heroes. And I know he is to a lot of people, especially, like, Pan-Africanists. Like, Sankara really was a true Marxist who lived by what he preached and uplifted his country from nothing. And he was martyred for it. Now, this is something you see all across Southern Africa, right? I don't know, I listened to this while I was doing my manual labor, John, but did you listen to the new season of Blowback about Angola?
I'm going to when it releases for free. I'm going to be honest, I did listen to the first episode. This is entirely pedantic stuff. I had some issues with it scholastically. I like, it's not a rigorous academic. It's not a very academically rigorous podcast. I understand it is firmly edutainment, but
yeah. But they do make some good points, especially in their bonuses. And I'll give you my login if you want to listen to it.
I'm good. I can wait until it's free. I do need to listen to the soundtrack though, because that has been my favorite part of Blowback has been the soundtrack.
It's a good one. But no, like, Angola is a good example of, like, a socialist project that failed over time. Not necessarily
to the point where you have people who were generals in the Liberation Army embezzling hospital construction budgets to build 40-room hunting lodges.
Yeah, to kill elephants, right? And then there are social democratic countries in Africa, and a really good example of this. People don't talk about it very often, but, like, a true Black African success story is Botswana.
Yep.
That is a country that, like, runs like a social democracy. Obviously, they're a bit poorer than, like, a Scandinavian country. But, like, they run like a Scandinavian model. They use their resource wealth to fund social welfare. And Gaborone, or Gaborone, whatever the capital is, like, it, for all intents and purposes, it looks like Johannesburg, right? It looks like a modern, clean, normal city. It is a wealthy country, and they regulate things, and people are doing well. The same goes for, like, Namibia. Like, that was a revolutionary party that took control in Namibia when
SWAPO's still running things.
SWAPO's still running things, and, like, Namibia is a very safe, very well functioning. They are poorer than us, but they are a country where people's needs are met. They are guaranteed by the government certain things. They are guaranteed education. They are guaranteed health care. I think Namibia guarantees housing for people. Like, these are countries with much less wealth than us, right? Think back to Burkina Faso. You know, that Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, was a river village before the French got there. And when the French got there, they built it into a capital city. Not a very good one, right? You know, like, they only had, you know, electricity and underground sewers in the French part of the city. But, like, Thomas Sankara built a sewer system. He paved the roads. And they did it from scratch. You know, he was a very Juche kind of government in that he didn't have cement. And so he hired fucking engineers from other countries to come in and build him a cement plant and build an asphalt plant and build a steelworks to build rails, because they don't have their own iron. They need to buy steel. They need to buy iron. And he built all the industry in order to manufacture those things in Burkina Faso. It was a project of industrialization, a project of centralization. And you can thank Thomas Sankara today for the Sahara not encroaching half as far as it could have, because he started the Green Belt Initiative. He started planting trees. He put people to work, much like the American Works Progress Administration in the 1930s put Americans to work because they had nothing. He put people to work and he paid them to go plant trees in the Sahel, to plant a fucking green wall, to keep the Sahara from going further south, to keep his country watered, to keep his country fed. And then, you know, obviously that's a revolution that was successful for a time. You look at American revolutionary parties and you look at their platforms, their stances, the things that they want to do, and they're technocratic, right? Most of our solutions are technocratic. They are like, you know, redistributive policies that don't really attack the issue, and we call ourselves socialists. And like most of our things are like Medicare for all, and, you know, rent stabilization. When, let's be honest, like a pretty popular platform in this country would be to like take the housing from the landlords and give it to the cities, right? And that would be a popular policy, but we don't really push for it. Like, and you see, you know, a candidate like Zoran is close, and look at it, he fucking won. He won.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Zoran is also, I think, fundamentally proposing technocratic solutions, but they're...
Oh, I agree.
They're on the better end of it. Stuff like municipally managed grocery stores that are selling at cost. That is...
Transit being free.
Yeah. Like, he is, to a certain extent, if you're being too cynical, you could just describe all that as just fucking with numbers. But... it's the better end of fucking with numbers. And also, I'm going to be honest, I think municipal grocery stores is a bit more than just fucking with numbers.
Municipal grocery stores is a step towards socialism.
Yeah, it is building the infrastructure for a state-managed distribution network.
It is. You know, and sometimes I have this own internal argument. I want to know what you think. Like, Zoran is good to me. I think he's good. I think he's a step forward for the people of New York. He's better than Andrew Cuomo. Right?
However, he is an acceptable minimal program candidate.
Exactly. I have this feeling sometimes where, like, I kind of hope he loses. Like, I kind of hope they don't win those candidates, because
I absolutely understand that feeling.
I want further radicalization. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is part of like this article with like the masses, the party of anarchy. They're satisfied now.
Yeah.
Now we have to find a new wave.
Well, I am of two minds of this. One, yes, I do hope it doesn't. His potential failure does open the door for more subsistence struggles in New York. But there is the other potentiality, which is... But also, he is not demobilizing his campaign staff. I will say that is, like, the biggest surprise I've gotten from this.
That's a goddamn first. Yeah, I'm surprised he did that, too.
I'm surprised, and I'm very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But I will also say, if Zoran fails... that might just demoralize a critical mass of people.
I mean, I think Obama did that, too. He demoralized a critical mass of people. And now he wasn't even really running on a social democratic platform. That's true, but then look at what Bernie's done.
Well, yeah,
Bernie has permanently demobilized so many people.
Like, oh my God, I saw somebody posting that Hunter S. Thompson quote about, like, the high tide from the Long 68, like, seeing it from Las Vegas, and using that to talk about, like, Bernie in 2020 is like, oh, man.
I think there's also a desperation factor here. And I'm going to say this from my own personal feeling. It's like, you talk to a comfortable Marxist, somebody who's comfortable right now. You know, like, and I'm going to say, like, that's a lot of people in DSA. It's not all of them. A lot of people in DSA are quite poor and, like, on the edge, right? But talk to a comfortable Marxist, and they'll always kind of tell you the same thing, which is like, well, the party of the future, right? We're building something that will help us in the future, right? But there's this piece of desperation, and if you talk to somebody on the street you might be able to get involved with Marxist politics, if you tell them that we're, like, struggling for something in the future, right? Well, they need help now. It's not worth it to them. It's just like to me personally. Maybe I'm a bad Marxist for this, but, like, it's not worth it for me to engage in a struggle that's going to cost me my very minimal time, energy, and money for something that not only am I never going to see anything of, but, like, I'm probably going to lose something in the present for it. I'm going to lose something, and it's not a successful project.
It is a very difficult thing to ask somebody to go to prison or die for the notion that, hey, in 50 years there's going to be a world republic. Okay.
Yeah, and, you know, I wrote about this a little bit. I published my one goddamn little Substack article. But we don't have anything worth dying for. And I'm willing to die for the project. I'm willing to put my life on the line to guarantee equality for fucking everyone. For a
non-domination.
A life of dignity is my new thing. And, you know, everybody deserves dignity. And to me, dignity is simple. I want nice housing. I want to be able to eat the foods I want. I want to be able to afford to buy a luxury food once a week. I want to be able to afford to do something entertaining for myself and my family once a week. Once a year, I want to be able to go on a little vacation away from the city I live in, right? That's a life of dignity, right? I want to be able to know that in my old age, when I no longer work, that my housing will still be there, that my groceries will still be there, and that I'll be healthy and happy enough to spend time with my family and enjoy my last few decades, right? If you live for 20 years after you retire, my last 2 decades of life in comfort, and then I want to be able to die with dignity, surrounded by loved ones, surrounded by caretakers who care for me. You know, I don't want to die in poverty, right? Nobody does. That's a life of dignity, right? I work at this fucking truck rental place, and, you know, we don't background check, we don't drug test, whatever. I think that's fine for this kind of job. And, like, the 2 gentlemen who I recently hired, one is he's bipolar. He recently fucked his life up because he didn't have a diagnosis. Now he has to work at U-Haul, right? Because he crashed his car. He was in a manic break. He lost his partner. He lost a lot of things, and he's just trying to make it, right? He's just trying to survive. It's hard for him to afford housing. It's hard for him to afford groceries. I drive him home. And you know, he's doing his best. He's an artist. He's a really good artist, actually. And then the other gentleman, he's a recovering heroin addict. He's living in recovery housing right now, and they're charging him $2,000 a month to live there.
Jesus.
And the man makes $16 an hour. That's how much we pay, like, our regular associates. And he's looking for housing. And you know what? He's got a drug felony on his record. He's recovering from being addicted to heroin and fucking coke for 20 years, right? And he's the average American opiate, like, story. Like, this was a guy who had a scholarship to go play college baseball. He was going to make it in life. He hurt his shoulder his senior year of high school. They gave him prescription painkillers, and he got hooked. And he was hooked for 20 years. And Jesus. Now they're telling him, you know, I'm sitting there watching him try to call people. I'm letting him use my phone. I'm letting him use the work computer. Trying to call people to ask to try and get housing. And it's like, well, you're a felon? No. Oh, you don't make fucking 3 times the rent? No. Right? And he's crying on the phone with the fucking recovery advocacy group saying, please help me find housing. Please. If I have to be homeless, I'm going to relapse. It's going to kill me. He's like, because what am I going to do? I'm going to be outside. The only thing I'm going to have is drugs. It's the only thing that's going to make me comfortable, right? So I don't have to feel having to sleep outside. I don't have to feel how horrible my life is. Everyone deserves a life of dignity. And I look at these 2 guys, and I know that they would make some of the best revolutionists I've ever met, because at their core, they're not intellectual politicians. They are people who deeply care about their community, though. They deeply care about making life better. I can't ask them to show up to a DSA meeting. Not only is it on the other side of town, where they would need a car, and neither of them have that, but, like, what am I asking them to fight for? It's not going to make their life better. None of it is. I want a revolutionary party that's going to help me today. If I had to, like, and I go to Asheville DSA meetings, and they're good people, they are, and we have relatively limited resources, I get that. But if we want to make life better, DSA National, PSL, these are organizations that have enough money to do some pilot projects in some cities. They need to.
Yeah.
Build some goddamn housing. If you want full-time fucking, revolutionaries who dedicate their life to this, you need to provide them a life of dignity for them to be able to do that. If the DSA would pay me what I make as a fucking manager at a goddamn truck rental place, $20 an hour, if they paid me that, I would work full-time to further the revolution. I would be able to take my time to read, write, create analyses, debate those analyses with others, refine that analysis, and be in my community. Whether that be cooking meals and distributing meals, right? Teaching people how to cook, teaching people how to garden, teaching people how to create that community self-sufficiency. I would love to dedicate my life to that. But nobody's going to pay me to do it, and I can't do that shit for free. And that's how so many people feel. I can't do this for free. I need to survive too. If I won the lottery tomorrow, yeah, I'll dedicate my life to it. I will dedicate my fucking life to this because I'll be able to, I don't have to work. I can work on this all day. I can do that. And I'll still have a life of dignity. I'll still be able to go on a vacation if I want to go on a vacation. I'll be able to buy my fiance fucking flowers, right? We are in a crisis in this country, right? The left, while it is at a crest, I think, in some ways, it's also kind of the most weak and fragmented it's also ever been. Because they are so large, we are much larger.
I'm going to be honest. From what I've heard from some older folks, this is nothing compared to pre-2008.
Well, pre-08 was like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Like, that's when, like, people were generally thinking, maybe it might be a good idea to align with the right wing. Like, the whole red-brown alliance was, like, an actual thing that was being proffered. Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about? No.
But, I mean, like, this is kind of like, we're in this kind of crisis state where I think, like, there is mass proletarian potential in this country right now, today. But we lack the organizations willing, able, or connected enough to their own communities to do it, right? You look at, like, the DSA chapter, they're always in the hippie part of town, right? The nice part of town that's like the old houses in your town, right? Or, like, it's like, oh, we've gentrified this area, right? Because 40 years ago that was working class housing, and now they're $700,000, $1 million homes. That's where the DSA exists, right? They are, in a lot of ways, like a champagne socialist party. And they don't really know how to connect with somebody who works in a factory. Because even the people who may have done that in the past, they don't do that now. Yeah. Now they have time, right? They work a desk job. They've become white collar. And there is something to be said about analysis of Marxism, like a material analysis of conditions in the United States that really needs to take into account that we don't have, two proletarian columns in this country. We don't have a proletariat and a lumpen proletariat. We have, like, a lumpen proletariat, a proletariat, which is quite small, in my opinion. And then we have this uniquely modern day thing, which, like, I would call them, like, the bourgeois proletariat. I don't really have a term for it, but they are like this.
Maybe labor aristocrat.
I would call labor aristocracy. I would actually go so far as to say, like, the labor aristocracy are like the people who own stocks, like I think, like, people who, like, a common man who owns a lot of stocks, right? Day
the guy
traders,
who has
like, those are
me. The guy who has a going Roth IRA.
No, I mean, like, the people who do the pump and dump shit.
Oh yeah,
like the people, like what the fuck are they called? They're whatever. They're like, common man people who do trading all day. That's like the labor aristocracy, right? They don't work. They do that. That's what they do. Is like they make money off the labor of others, but they're not quite bourgeoisie because they don't own the means of production.
And they are being paid a wage.
Correct. So, but, like, we have this third thing, and I think I've been thinking about it a lot. One of the things that I think makes Marxism so hard to, like, create a good, clear analysis of in this country is this is no longer the type of economy that like Marx, Lenin, Kautsky, any of them would have looked at and been able to recognize as like industrial capitalism, right? We exist in a financial economy, which requires a new analysis, right? The financialization of the American economy means we are a service and investment economy. We don't make things here anymore. We push products, we push services, right? The only things that really get created here at this point are like softwares, right? Our industry is quite small, it's quite automated. There's not a lot of workers involved anymore.
I mean,
I think it requires a new analysis.
We do make quite a lot of agricultural products. We are like the number one soybean producer on the planet. We're like number 3 in wheat. But that's
not even really done by like we don't have yeoman farmers. We
have an agricultural proletariat that is primarily hyper-exploited migrant labor.
Exactly, which again, like, is one of those things. Like, that's a class section that should be involved in our revolutionary project.
Yes, but, exactly.
Like, they are so siloed off from the rest of us.
You want an example of the escalation of subsistence struggles in America right now? Look at Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, as a North Carolinian, God bless myself, they're in Charlotte now. They sent Dan Bovino, Greg Bovino,
that fucking little Himmler motherfucker.
Little fucking Himmler. He's in Charlotte right now. Do you know what they're calling the operation in Charlotte?
What?
Operation Charlotte's Web. The cruelty is the point.
Also, they're so fucking tacky and stupid.
They are already there in force, much like Chicago. And Charlotte is a great example of, like, for better or worse, dickheads out there, Charlotte is a major American city. Like, it is a major American city. This is a city with millions of people in it that is a hub of the world's financial economy. If the Bank of America building in uptown Charlotte were to fucking collapse in on itself tomorrow, we would have a fucking banking crisis. They are in Charlotte doing the things they did in Chicago, and what Charlotte doesn't have is the revolutionary activity of Chicago, is the revolutionary activity of Los Angeles, right? Those operations for ICE were successful for them there, let's be honest. We didn't win anything, but Charlotte doesn't even have a resistance movement. There's no resistance there. It's a city that lacks an identity in a lot of ways. It's a city that has a really distinct identity in some ways. But in some ways, like, it's a banking city, right? And it's a new banking city. So it's a lot of transplants. A lot of people move there to do something, move there for the building boom, move there for the financialization, right? And they don't feel like they're a part of the city. And, if you live in Charlotte, I lived in Charlotte for, first 20 years of my fucking life, you might never see a Mexican guy building a house, right? Because it's just out of sight. It's a very spread out city. You don't see it, right? And then all of a sudden, you see on South Boulevard in uptown Charlotte, they're breaking windows and dragging people out of their cars. Today. It happened today.
Jesus.
They're doing that shit. And, like, what's our resistance movement? Where is it going to come from, right? Because I also know deep down, I'm going to say this with a little bit of local pride here, when Keith Lamont Scott was killed, Charlotte rioted. They rose up, they showed out, they showed up, they fucking shut down the interstate, they fucking showed up for that shit. They showed the fuck up in 2020. But it's a great example of that party of anarchy in that there is no formalized party in Charlotte. There is nobody to take control of the wave and push it at something and keep it there and drown your opponent in your wave. They're tailists. They follow. By the time we show up, it's over. Or it's already been co-opted by the Democrats, who are quite good at getting in front of the wave. We're not.
Part of it is also, like, we talk about how there's no existing structures for this kind of thing. Part of the hope, I guess, is that as these subsistence struggles reach a certain pitch, this is kind of cope. Like, as these subsistence struggles reach a certain pitch, something new will emerge, or just these subsistence struggles will get to a point where they are so irresistible that they will fundamentally alter these existing left institutions.
Yeah.
That's the hope. I don't know if that'll bear out, but that's the hope.
I wish I could win the lottery tomorrow, because in a lot of ways, I don't want to be the American Lenin, and nobody should want to be the American Lenin. But
no,
God damn it, somebody's got to fucking step up and fucking lead. We don't have leaders.
Or at the very least, we can recreate him in the aggregate.
Yeah, and we just don't. We just, like... And it's not that we don't have the talent. That's the thing that pisses me off. We have the talent. We have the knowledge. We have everything we need. We just don't do it. And that's part of the American psyche as well. Like, a deeply American thing there. Right? Think about, like, all the way back to our country's founding. American people, and like, I'm saying this about the American founding fathers, who in a lot of ways were despicable. But, like, they didn't do anything until they were backed up to the fucking wall. And it was like, submit or fight, right? And that's something that follows through. The American Civil War, they pushed that shit. The American Civil War should have happened 5 years after the American Revolution. It would have happened 5 years after the American Revolution, if they even made it 5 years. But they made it 60 years, right? Or 70 years, because the Americans do everything they can to avoid conflict within themselves, right? We're very quick to push our conflict outwards.
Well, part of the thing with the Civil War was that there was no Civil War because the kind of progressive bourgeois Yankee industrial forces had not developed to the point where that they could effectively fight the South. Because the slave power was like the dominant force in American politics for those 60 years, right?
For those 60 years, they were dominant, and they were also, in a large part, the driving factor behind American independence anyway.
Yeah. Even though
they were a huge part of that.
Even though they ended up becoming a semi-colony of the British Empire.
The American South, the American South, and in a lot of ways, like, the American state, for its first, like, 25, 30 years of existence, like, was just was more of a split in the aristocracy of Great Britain.
Yes.
Than it was a distinctly new thing.
Like, fundamentally, I think you can understand the American War of Independence as a continuation of the British Civil Wars.
I think so as well.
And also, here's the thing. America is to the British Empire, the current American Empire is to the British Empire what the Byzantine Empire was to Rome.
Yes.
And I mean, shout out to Yoshimi Red on Twitter for explicating that. Very good analysis.
Good.
Not analysis, but good analogy.
It's and we find by the time the Civil War came about, it's because Northern industrialists, right, who, morals aside, right, like, were finally backed into such a fucking corner that they needed to do something, right? Because the South said, "Fuck it, we're out." And that was when that's when the United States decided to do something, right? We don't do anything in this country until we're backs to the wall.
I don't think that's just for one thing, I don't think that's a particularly American thing. I think that is exacerbated in Americans for a variety of reasons.
It's a very British thing, actually.
Anglophone, I think.
Yes, it's a very Anglo thing, because look at, just for example, Mexico, right? For all intents and purposes, when the United States was founded, Mexico was the New World superpower. They had a pre-existing infrastructure, right? The Spanish came in, and when they conquered, the Mexica people in the Valley of Mexico and south, they did the same thing that, like, the Romans and the Persians would do. They're just replacing the fucking bureaucracy.
Yeah,
the Romans march into Aleppo in 100 BC or whatever, and they're not burning Aleppo to the ground. They're just replacing the governor.
Yeah, it is the Spanish conquest of America was a very old, like, medieval and antique style empire, not the kind of.
And it's because it happened 200 years before the British.
Yeah, but also to your point about the Civil War, I think a very clarifying and, to me, very hopeful element of that is the struggle of the Civil War was a radicalizing force for the people who were fighting the Civil War. The Union
would not have had the late 1890s progressive movement without the Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, also like people were joining the military, the Union Army, at the start of the war, saying, "Okay, we're going to put down some rebels. This isn't purely about keeping the Union intact." At the end of the war, they were like, "All men are brothers."
Yeah,
by the multiracial society now.
Yeah, by the end of the war, people are joining the Union Army to free the slaves.
Exactly. I mean, like, to be clear, this is not to downplay the very strong white supremacist element that was still in the Union, still part of the Union. I mean, like, Abraham Lincoln presided over one of the largest massacres of Native Americans in American history.
Yeah.
Still Demon Cracker Empire. Still a Demon Cracker Empire.
And, you know, like, the fact that the American state mainly resubsumed, right, the Southern bureaucracy instead of hanging them all,
Boo.
you know, is another failure, right? And Lincoln's assassination, obviously, I think is maybe one of the most important moments in terms of American political future ever, obviously.
I mean, honestly,
if he had not died,
I'm going to be honest, I think Lincoln's assassination was the best thing that could have happened for his reputation.
Yes and no. His death led to the end of Reconstruction.
But it also ensured that he became a secular saint of the United States.
He did. In the same way Washington, like, he's a secular saint of the U.S.
He's like the second founding father.
Yeah, I mean, he did. He presided over the second founding of the United States.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, where's my fucking Revolutionary Party, dog?
Once everybody's up against the wall.
That's the thing.
That's the thing, is that these things don't happen until the alternative is worse, and revolution is a pretty, generally speaking, or I should say,
bad thing for most people.
Yeah, these things, as a rule, do not happen until the alternative to revolution is worse than the revolution, and we are not at that point yet.
No, and I think for most for most people mired in the struggle, I think part of that problem is, like, it already is that bad, and we're uniquely repressed, right? We're different. There is an American exceptionalism factor to, like, this is the most powerful police state to have ever existed, with surveillance in a way
so powerful
that, like,
you don't even notice it.
The Tsar would have shot his family to death in that room for the powers of surveillance that the United States has. Right?
Yeah.
We're all being watched passively, right? And if you say the wrong thing, you start getting watched actively. But we just don't. I don't know if we're missing something. I think part of it is, like, the atomization of the American people. Like, I think the invention of the automobile, like, almost doomed American politics in a lot of ways, because we're so atomized. We're so far apart. Everybody's so far apart. You know, 100 years ago, I could be here in Asheville, North Carolina, and I could say, you know what, John, we should hang out. And I could get on a train from Asheville, and in 2 days, I could be in Seattle.
I'm so fucking sick of over that. Like, what we had in terms of our passenger rail network. This, like, completely apolitically, just like, this would be a thing. That would be cool. Fuck! You could travel. You could travel from Chicago to New York entirely using municipal public transit, using interurban lines. Motherfucker! I am going to dig up Henry Ford and kill him again. Fuck!
You could go from fucking Bangor, Maine, to goddamn Mexico City on a fucking train 100 years ago, and today you can only drive.
Because the Mexican state has only recently been reintroducing passenger rail. Until, like, 5 years ago, Mexico had no passenger rail system.
And now look at them. They're doing a fucking Chinese 5-year plan with it.
Okay. In fairness, so we are very much critical support for Marina. I'm very much on the critical end of that, because if you look at the actual Tren Maya and I forgot what the word, the system that's going across the isthmus. The Interocean,
the rail system?
I think. Well, they're doing 2 rail lines. I don't know if it's an actual system yet.
I think it's both of those. Interoceano.
Yeah, the Interoceano. Both of those are basically being run by the military. They are extremely corrupt. They are extremely poorly run, and they are fucking over so many indigenous people.
Well, you see how they've been having a little color revolution the last 2 days.
Oh god, yeah, the fucking
huge protest in Mexico City about corruption.
The fluffy flag.
Yeah, which you gotta really think about, like, the Mexican state. We could fucking talk about that for a year, like how hard it would even be to root out the corruption in that country, because it runs so deep, and it's run so deep, like, since the time of fucking Lopez, right? Like Santa Anna started that.
God, El Jefe Maximo, where are you? They should have done more shit to extirpate the Catholic Church from that country. I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
But
I agree. At least we got, like, woke Vatican City now.
It's crazy.
But anyway, no, my point is like, the transit's fucked up. Like, I used to be able to get on a train in Asheville, right? Let's take a moment here. I'm going to give everybody a little history lesson. Asheville, North Carolina existed before this, right? It's existed since the early 1700s. It was one of the main trading posts within the Appalachians. However, it only became a city because a certain railroad tycoon named Cornelius fucking Vanderbilt decided to build his residence here and build the largest fucking rail yard east of the Mississippi here. And it was here for fucking 30 years before somebody built a bigger one. It's still there. You go to the Biltmore Mansion. To get to the Biltmore Mansion, you have to go over the giant fucking rail yard. And it's like, you used to be able to get on a train there and go anywhere you wanted in the country.
And that rail yard is just sitting fallow?
There's like some freight going through it. But
like
most of the spurs are they're fallow. Because like it's not a rail hub anymore. The city is like a bit of a rail hub, but like not by much. It's a highway hub now, so everything goes by truck.
Fuck.
But like the last time a passenger train existed in this town was Southern Railways, which, by the way, I really just want to say, aesthetically, Southern Railways is the coolest fucking train to ever exist. I want you to look up Southern Railway passenger trains. They have an amazing fucking thing going on.
Is this of what is now Norfolk Southern?
Yes.
Oh god.
Dude,
the fucking
so
green and white?
The green and white
streamliner?
The yellow? Yes.
Dude.
So, the last time, and we had passenger service. I know. We had passenger service to Charlotte and to Knoxville and everywhere else. But, like, that was in the 1960s when they canceled the line. And quite honestly, for all of the fact that Amtrak probably preserved passenger rail in this country, it killed so much of it as well.
Yeah.
It killed so much of it.
Well, the thing is, honestly, we could do an entire episode about this, but, like, the American rail industry imploded over the 70s. Like, that is one of the casualties of, like, the long crisis of the 1970s is American rail.
And, you know, Southern Rail, I just
Thanks, Penn
harp
Central,
on one thing.
you fucking idiots.
Just to harp on one thing for a minute. Southern Rail was not just a passenger line, it was one of the biggest freight lines in the South.
Yeah. All the freight lines were, all the passenger lines were freight lines and all the...
lines.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the other thing, is like, you could drive around Asheville, just to harp on where I live for a minute. You know those historical marker signs that are in every state that tell you, like, something cool happened here? Every fucking third street in Asheville, there's a sign that's like, so here was the Asheville tram system. It used to be right here. Here's the passenger rail, you know, the light rail, the trolley, or the trams that this city had. And you look today, Asheville's a city of like 100,000 people. Today, when they had a trolley system, it was a city of 50,000. And they had a full-service fucking train system that ran 24 fucking 7, 365. But if you tried to implement that today, it would bankrupt this town. You would bankrupt this city trying to run within the city transit system. You can't do it. It's like that's the other thing. It's like it's impossible to do it. You know, one of Zoran's things in New York City is like, you know, fix the fucking subway. It costs $1 billion to build a subway station in New York.
Well, also, the subway...
$1 billion per station.
The subway is the purview of the state government, not the municipal one. Which...
That's the other thing. You look at a city like Charlotte. They got a light rail system now, which, you know, more power to them. It costs them $1 billion per station.
I do not want to see what the cost is for the Seattle light rail system.
Seattle's trains are fucking expensive. But that's the thing. Seattle decided to go into debt and make the investment in it because it's paying off already. Like, you guys have a great metro system. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they could get over to the east side and finally finish that fucking floating bridge.
But, like, this is the thing, is American transit's so goddamn fucked. And it's so expensive now, right? You know, you look at a country like, good example, country like Spain, right? They have a GDP comparable to, like, Pennsylvania, right? But every single city...
They had people living in caves until the 1980s.
Yeah, every single city in Spain has a tram system in the city, and they have high-speed rail connecting every single one of their metro centers. And they're doing that with a GDP of nothing. Of nothing. The GDP of Mississippi is higher than most states, than most countries in Europe. Mississippi. And it's the poorest goddamn state in the country. And you go there, and it feels like the poorest state in the fucking country. I've been to fucking Mississippi.
It's the land of cracked highways and dirt roads and cities that just feel sad. And you look back, you look back to the crisis of the 1970s, post the Civil Rights Movement, and before the crisis of the late 70s, like those cities in the South had started to integrate and were vibrant.
Yeah.
They were vibrant places. There was industry. You know, one of the biggest steelworks in America ever is in fucking Alabama. Is
Birmingham
Bessemer fucking
Steelworks.
Steel.
Yeah,
Bessemer
Bessemer.
fucking Steel, the Bessemer fucking process, invented in Alabama. Like, we're just, like, this country has imploded. We are a
part of that is just like the natural rhythms of the transfer of capital, like the rhythms of the world factor, right?
As it moves around the world, right? You know, nowadays, Szechuan.
It's in China. Shenzhen.
Yeah.
India's probably next.
God help us.
Dude, oh my god. The guy who made RRR
I'm not ready for the
put
Indian
the
decade of excellence.
Yes, the guy who made RRR put out a trailer for his next movie. It looks it's going to be like the best looking and most fascist movie ever made. It looks incredible.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing. The other thing, I don't think it's going to move to India. I think India is too corrupt. Because if you ask me, like, it should go China, India, Nigeria. But, like, I think it's going to skip India. I think Nigeria has a better shot.
There is a decent chance it all comes tumbling down before it can properly transition out of China.
I do think there's a possibility that China...
Or transition out of East Asia, I should say.
Because of China's special politics, I think they are capable of keeping it there for much longer than America was.
That is true. Oh god, I just had like something wash over me. Indonesia.
Was it a feeling of dread? That's a feeling of dread.
Yeah, that's a feeling of dread. Can you... Dude, everything I learned about...
are going to take over everyone.
No, dude, everything I learned about Indonesia from Indonesians is worse. It's like...
Is against my will and also the scariest shit I've ever heard.
What do you mean you still have black shirts running around, but they're not black shirts, they're wearing extremely gaudy orange camouflage.
I do love how gay Southeast Asian is for a place that hates gay people. Like Filipinos, some of the most homophobic at a national level, incredibly homophobic. Have you ever met a Filipino who isn't like, you're not like, are you gay? Because they're so flamboyant. Like, they're like a flamboyant people, but who are incredibly heterosexual about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it won't be Indonesia because I don't think maritime-based economies are going to do it again.
Okay, Dugan.
I do
okay,
kind
Dugan.
of... I hate to say this thing about Dugan. I'm about to say it. I don't think that the center of capital is going to leave Euro-Africa. Euro-Asiatic Africa.
I agree. It's going to... Maybe... I definitely agree.
I
the
think
conditions
the
aren't
New
there.
World was a distinctly different thing.
It's the United States and then the United States extractive backlot, right? Like, fundamentally, I don't think the conditions are there for a reindustrialization of South America. But that is because of very specific historical processes. If you tweak a couple things in the early 20th century, I think you could have the world factory going down to Argentina, for example.
I do have this weird...
But God, can you imagine that, Argentina?
I hate to sound like Dugan. World history has dictated, right? While North America and South America have both been capable of supporting highly industrial, like pre-industrial, but like highly industrious, centralized civil governments, they were never able to do it on the scale of European, African, and Asian states. And there's a few reasons for that. Namely, the outside of the Mississippi River Valley, the very unfavorable geography to do so. Outside of the Mississippi River Valley...
Oh, you're talking pre-colonization.
Yes, I'm saying, but like pre-colonization, think about it. We'll say Cahokia here, even though they were mostly dispersing when Europeans arrived.
And also Cahokia might not have been an empire as we think of it.
No.
And more of a cultural
sphere. Like, you look
sphere.
at the Mississippian culture, and then the Valley of Mexico civilizations. The Maya, who I think are a very special case. And then, like, the Andean civilizations, right? They're those centralized states. Yeah, the Inca, the Olmec, the things that, like, or not the Olmec, those are Central American. The Inca, like Teotihuacan, not Teotihuacan. What the fuck is the one I'm thinking of? The one that's in Bolivia, but was pre-Inca.
I know the one I forget what it's called.
Tiwanaku.
But I mean, yeah.
But
and
like,
also
you
the
look at
Amazonians.
them, like,
the Amazonian
the
civilization.
Amazonian civilization that we have no fucking records of, which is driving me crazy. But like,
that's where Agartha
at
is.
the same, yeah. But at the same time, right? There's just not enough resources in the Americas, nor is there favorable geography, right? Whereas Europe specifically, like, was given this fucking magical gift in terms of geography in order to be a center of capital, right? Rivers run through it and to it, and it is an easy peninsular trading post for the rest of the world. It's got calm seas on most sides. The Mediterranean is like the most profitable body of water to have ever existed. Africa, the same thing. You have the Niger, the Nile, the Congo. These are rivers that, like, have had settled, centralized, industrious civilizations since people started farming. Same goes for China. But there's only these pockets. Like, I really don't think capital is ever going to leave that continental supercluster ever again. It could never be Australia. It could never be South America. And it could never... North America has been a bit of a fluke in terms of, like, a uniquely American safety that allowed them to become a world power. But now that power is waning, right? The proliferation of nuclear weapons, in my opinion, forever changed the course of, like, American safety, right? The American military can no longer just project power willy-fucking-nilly and then go, well, there's 2,000 miles of ocean between us and anybody else. We'll stop them before they get there, and we have enough time to build some boats before they get there. We've been coasting on our laurels since the end of World War II, but every time we get ourselves involved in a conflict since World War II, we get our fucking teeth kicked in. We do. We're not winning. We're just projecting power, and we're projecting money, and we're at a point now as an economy...
Dominance without
hegemony. We can't really
project.
Yeah, and, like, we can't really project that dominance anymore, right? If the United States wanted to... And I'm not gonna take China as, like, a bad example. If the United States decided tomorrow that Nigeria was a state enemy, and we needed to invade, occupy, and restructure Nigeria, we would not be able to do it. There are
we would
too
try,
many people,
but we would fail.
and it would cost too much. It would, like, a hypothetical world where losses don't count, yeah, we could fucking dominate Nigeria. But we can't bear the social cost. This country could barely bear the social cost of the global war on terror, which, I don't know if people realize this, like, less than 10,000 Americans died for that.
Here's the thing. I don't think the war on terror, like, if you compare if you want a case where the United States is straining under the cost of a colonial war, the example is not the war on terror. We actually weathered that extremely well, and by we I mean the United States. Like, fundamentally, I think a lot of people just kind of shut it out, and it didn't matter to them. Or if you're just meaning Iraq and Afghanistan, I get that, but that was able to continue until we were pushed out militarily. There was no political
what I mean
factor
is, like, we couldn't bear the loss, right? Like, if we wanted to hold Afghanistan, if we wanted to stay there, or if we wanted to, like, stay in Iraq, it would have cost more Americans dead than society could handle. That's part of the calculus in pulling out. If we wanted to stay in Afghanistan, we could occupy Afghanistan indefinitely. There's 10 million people in Afghanistan. We could occupy it. But we don't, because the cost would be too much to bear. And a lot like late Rome, you can send the fucking legion out, but if half the legion dies, you can't send the legion out again. The people will riot.
Yeah.
Vietnam, we had 60,000 casualties, and we had people in the fucking streets.
The U.S. Army was this close to being mutinous, to being on a mass level, to mutiny on a mass level.
Then let's be honest, that was a high-intensity war. But it still was not like all the military power America could hypothetically bring to bear. It's the same calculus Russia is making in Ukraine. They could bring to bear enough military power in Ukraine to be in Kyiv tomorrow. But they are aware that if they brought it to bear, the casualties at that speed, the amount of dead you'd have in a week to do it, would be too much for the Russian population to bear, and they would be in the fucking streets.
Well, part of it is also just the cost of, like, putting everything into that kind of total mobilization. They could be in Kyiv
possible.
They could be in Kyiv in 2 months, but there would not be a Russian Federation in a meaningful sense within 10 years.
In 3. Yeah, like you would exhaust it. Like think about a really good example actually is Spain. So Spain went all out during the Spanish-American War in the 1890s. They fully mobilized for that. They put everything they had into it. And within 30 years, that country fell apart. Because they just couldn't do it. They couldn't get involved in World War I because they were exhausted.
Here's the thing. You can break your hegemony. The potentiality for hegemony can be broken for a long time before your dominance goes away. Like, I think the best example for this is the British Empire in 1918.
It was already a broken empire.
It was broke fundamentally. Like, even though on paper it was the largest it had ever been, they had lit their entire treasury on fire. They had incurred deep hostility from their working population, while giving a good chunk of them military training.
It's a good. France is also a great example of that.
Yeah, exactly. But Britain was very clearly on the way. Maybe in hindsight, was on the way out by 1918. Mm-hmm. But it still took something like 40 years for the empire to actually crumble. And they still had another world war in them.
They started decolonizing in 1950 something. So they made it 30 more years before the pressure was too high.
And again, it took another world war for that. They still had another world war in them.
It took, and I think people don't necessarily realize this, but
with an even higher level of mobilization, both in terms of personnel and in terms of capital.
Yeah,
America.
I think America is in a very capital.
I think America is in a very, very similar position after Iraq and Afghanistan to Britain in 1918. We are on the way out, but it's going to take a while and a lot for that position to get knocked down.
We know we're on the way out yet. I think at the end of World War II, the British political establishment, they knew it was over.
Yeah. I mean,
they knew that they had enough capital left to try and rebuild Britain, but they couldn't rebuild their colonies.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, part of it is also... God damn it, I had a point, and I forgot that fucking point.
It's okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
I did that to you.
Britain, World War II...
The Dutch are an even better example, I think.
Yeah, Dutch are a good example.
They had their crown jewel was Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
World War II, World War I, they stayed neutral, but the amount of money they poured into static defense, right?
Oh,
by the time they got to, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So, also, even if the dream, the extremely, I think, shall we say, tenuous dream of multipolarity as a precondition for revolution, which I'm on record as disagreeing very heavily with. I'm to the point where I think I kind of agree the opposite. I think if there is a single monopolar hegemony, it makes things easier because there only needs to be one weak link for the entire thing to fall apart. The thing with multipolarity is, even if all the instruments of American institutional hegemony were gone and it just became a game of pure dominance, right? Like everybody just late 19th, early 20th century Europe.
Yeah.
America is still going to be in the top 5, at least. Probably more like the top 3.
If we fell apart, we'd still be there?
No, if America, if multipolarity happened, if America was in a hegemonic position, but it was a multipolar world, America's still in the top 3. Because a common error, I find, is do people think, our affluence comes from our power. But it's really the other way around. America was one of the richest countries on the planet well before we were global hegemon, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the thing people don't always get. Before World War I, America was still the richest country in the world.
Yeah. That is why we became the global hegemon, is because the 20th century was the century in which all else dissolved into the cash nexus, right?
The 19th century was very akin, for the United States, the 19th century was very akin to the 15th century for the Spanish. We accumulated an incredible reserve of money.
Yes.
And then we just kept it. We didn't blow it the same way the Spanish did, on funding fucking armies in the Netherlands.
On paying
But, like,
Germans to kill each other.
Yeah, but like we accumulated a ton of extractive wealth, right? Think about the gold
here's
and
the thing,
silver
we didn't
wealth
blow
of the
it.
United States.
We reinvested that wealth.
Yes, which is
into
why America had
ourselves.
its fucking tram in every goddamn little town, had a fucking trolley, because we
Exactly.
had the money for it. But
that's the part of the process of moving the center of the world factory from Great Britain, and then it's a smaller chunk went to Germany, and then a huge growing chunk moved to the United States, right? Because this was the best investment environment on the planet at the time.
yeah, you know, the railroad tycoons of the late 19th century in the United States were the greatest benefactors to American hegemony ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Without
I will
those railroads,
say,
we would have been nothing.
American prosperity is the root of our power. I think there's an argument to be said that international power and its use in enforcing the labor arbitrage mechanisms that are the underpinning of the global economy at the moment, I think that is the key to in putting the thumb on the scale so that labor arbitrage is in the favor of the United States economy. I think it has a role in maintaining that prosperity, even as the world factory has shifted over.
Has gone. The American world factory has moved to Asia in the 90s.
Yeah. And there are still some stuff that's left over here. Like, that's the thing. Like, you understand things dialectically. Things aren't ever over, right? There's continuations. There's drips and drabs that are left over.
Yeah. Fuck back.
Right? We've gone for 2 hours and we haven't even talked about force and factors.
The chair is comfortable. It's
Okay.
I moved my lumbar pillow so I could like curve my back forward, but I just had to bend sideways to pick it up, which was not a good feeling.
But I think even just going off of what the United States has now in terms of capital plant, in terms of the military, the point is, do not underestimate inertia, right?
Yeah.
Inertia is a hell of a thing, and the American Empire has the most mass, relative, like metaphorically speaking here, as
There's
any
a ton
empire.
of momentum behind us, basically.
It has momentum, and it has a shit ton of momentum, and has a shit ton of mass, more than any other empire in human history. Without some kind of intervention from within, that's going to take a long time to slow down. And stop.
I mean, I think we're
seeing it start to slow down, but that is going to be a very slow process.
Yeah, right now it's organically slowing down, right? Like, we as socialists, I think that's a good question for us as we as socialists. What do we want out of this? We don't want to be the world factory, I don't think. I mean, I don't think most American socialists want to be the world factory again. I don't think that's the goal.
If we use this to kind of move into talk. This is going to be 2 episodes at this point.
Yeah.
But like
One can
kind
be
of
bonus.
tying in stuff from Force and Factory, I think, and also just from reading the introduction from Hell World, I think what Neel's supposing is a post-World Factory industrial economy.
That's true. I want to
Industrial production after the World Factory.
Let's do something real quick. Okay, everybody. If you want to hear us talk about the World Factory, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/redconnections for early access to that episode. I love you, and I'll see you in 2 seconds in my world, but maybe for you it's
Oh my god,
week,
Greg's
but...
dead.
Bye-bye. Oh, I've lost my fucking internet. I lost my internet for a second.
with me?
There. Yeah. It recorded me saying goodbye,
Yeah.
I think, though, so... Alright, and now
Alright.
we can do the World Factory.
Okay.
It's a good little break for us there.
Oh, honestly, I'm kind of beat. It's been 2 hours. Maybe we can do that. Let's cut it for now, then we can record
All right,
another 2-hour mega episode.
Yeah, I think this was a good one.